about the new season of Special Forces. Tell me, what did you think when you got approached about being on the show? Because it's intense.
Yeah, I got excited.
Welcome back to GlowGossips USA, the channel where truth always finds its way through the cracks of silence. Today's story is one that shakes the very foundation of Sister Wives. The question echoing across fan forums, family chats, and social media is simple yet devastating. Is this truly the end of Kody and Robyn Brown? What began as the fairy tale love story of the Sister Wives world has now turned into a storm of betrayal, secrets, and shocking revelations. And the person bringing this hidden truth to light isn't Christine, Janelle, or even Mary. It's Mykelti, the daughter who has seen more behind closed doors than any camera ever could. For years, TLC portrayed Kody and Robyn as the couple that survived it all, the emotional glue that kept the family together. But behind those carefully edited smiles and heartwarming confessionals, something darker was brewing. Mykelti's words, recently revealed in private voice recordings and leaked online transcripts, tell a story that TLC never wanted the world to hear. The story of manipulation, control, and the slow destruction of what little trust remained inside the Brown household. It all began months after the cameras stopped rolling for the last season. Fans assumed Kody and Robyn were simply living quietly, enjoying their secluded life in Flagstaff. But according to Mykelti, silence doesn't mean peace. It means cover-up. She claims that Kody's temper and Robyn's guilt had turned their home into a battlefield. The very man who once preached about unity and spiritual love had become obsessed with blame, convinced that the world and his ex-wives were plotting against him. Robyn, once seen as his loyal partner, was now emotionally distant, tired of defending a man who seemed to thrive on chaos. One night, Mykelti recalls visiting the house for what she thought was a quiet dinner. What she walked into instead was a storm. Kody, pacing the living room, his voice sharp and angry, shouted about the editing tricks TLC used to make him look like the villain. Robyn sat silently, her hands trembling, whispering that he needed to stop talking like that in front of their kids. But Kody didn't stop. He went on, accusing the network of betrayal, accusing Robyn of letting things slip during filming. That was the first time Mykelti realized just how broken things really were. As she later revealed, that night wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a growing pattern. Robyn had reportedly been in contact with TLC producers privately, expressing her frustration over how her family was being portrayed. Kody saw it as a betrayal. To him, any private conversation she had without his involvement was an act of disloyalty. Mykelti says she watched as her father's anger consumed him, while Robyn's silence turned to fear. And what shocked her most wasn't the argument, it was how used to it everyone seemed to be. Weeks later, Mykelti would confide in her mother, Christine, who had long warned her daughter that the mask always slips eventually. Christine had seen this side of Kody before, the controlling, paranoid man who needed everyone to follow his script. But this time it was different. This time, there were secrets so deep that even TLC had stayed quiet. And according to Mykelti, the network had signed confidentiality extensions with Kody and Robyn, protecting certain footage that would have changed everything fans believed. Sources close to the production team told her that several scenes were cut, scenes that showed intense arguments about money, Robyn crying over unpaid bills, and Kody blaming TLC for their financial troubles. Mykelti couldn't believe it at first, but when she reached out to one of the former camera operators, what she heard confirmed her fears. There were moments, the operator reportedly told her, that we were ordered to stop filming, usually right before things got ugly. TLC didn't want another scandal, not after how the family had already fractured. But Mykelti isn't the type to stay silent when truth is buried. She decided to document everything, the emotional breakdowns, the inconsistencies, and the strange new rules Kody had been enforcing in his home. She began to see Robyn differently, too. The woman she once admired now seemed lost, trapped between guilt and denial. Robyn had become the quiet witness of her own downfall, too afraid to challenge Kody, too broken to walk away. In a now viral audio clip, Mykelti can be heard saying, "I thought they were the strong ones. I thought they were what we were all supposed to aim for. But now I see it. They were just better at hiding the cracks." Those words hit Sister Wives fans hard. Because for years, the Brown family's story was one of faith and unity. But what Mykelti exposed was something darker, a truth TLC allegedly helped conceal for ratings and control. The revelation shook the fandom, but it also reopened old wounds among the other wives. Christine reportedly told a close friend that Mykelti's courage reminded her why she left. Mary, who had once stood by Robyn through every controversy, was silent. Yet insiders say she's been secretly watching everything unfold, waiting for the moment when Cody's perfect marriage finally collapses. Behind the scenes, TLC executives were panicking. According to leaks from production assistants, Mykelti's recordings threatened to expose not only Kody and Robyn's private fights, but also how the network allegedly manipulated footage to create sympathy for them. Some say TLC offered hush money. Others claim they tried to buy the rights to Mykelti's content before she could release it publicly. Either way, the damage was done. The fans had already seen enough. And Cody? He's been spiraling ever since. Friends close to him describe a man obsessed with control, desperate to repair his image while refusing to take any accountability. Robyn, once his greatest defender, has stopped attending public events with him. The emotional distance between them is visible. No more holding hands, no more united interviews. Just silence. The kind that screams louder than words. As part 1 draws to a close, one thing is clear. The perfect picture painted by TLC is fading fast. Mykelti has promised more revelations, claiming she's only shared the tip of what she knows. The deeper truth, she says, involves secret financial documents, manipulation from the network, and emotional abuse that has been hidden for years. The sister wives' world will never be the same again. The dust hadn't even settled after Mykelti's shocking discoveries from part 1, yet the ripples of her words had already reached every corner of the Brown family. Inside Flagstaff, whispers became warnings, and warnings turned into full-blown panic. Kody and Robyn, once the golden couple of sister wives, were now trapped in a silence thicker than guilt. Behind their heavy wooden doors, there were no more tender moments, no laughter, no plans, just quiet tension and the sound of a man watching everything he built crumble before his eyes. But while Cody sulked in paranoia, Mykelti had begun something no one ever expected, a quiet investigation into the family's deepest secrets. After discovering the hidden TLC memos and financial documents, she knew the truth wasn't just about family drama anymore. It was about exploitation. She realized that for years, TLC had twisted every emotional moment into profit, even if it meant protecting Kody and Robyn while silencing everyone else. One evening, sitting with her mom Christine in the soft golden light of the Utah sunset, Mykelti laid out the printed memos and leaked emails across the table. Christine's eyes scanned every line, her expression darkening with every word. "I knew they controlled the narrative," she whispered, "but I didn't realize they controlled our lives." David Woolley, Christine's husband, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, shaking his head. "They turned your pain into entertainment," he said quietly, "and they still think they can bury it." That night, Christine made a decision. She wasn't going to stay silent either. She began reaching out to people she knew from the earlier seasons, camera crew, field producers, even makeup artists. Slowly, the puzzle started forming. Several confirmed that Robyn had special privileges. One recalled that Robyn once stormed off set during filming because she didn't like how Cody looked upset. Another confirmed that TLC had reshot multiple scenes to make it look like Cody and Robyn were happier than they were. Then came the most disturbing detail of all, the emergency shutdown protocol. Mykelti discovered that TLC had a code word used during filming: camera down. Whenever a fight got too real, or when Robyn started crying uncontrollably, producers would yell camera down to stop recording. It wasn't to protect the family's privacy, it was to protect the network's brand. Every unfiltered truth was cut away, leaving only the illusion of unity. For Mykelti, it became unbearable. How could a show that preached about love, faith, and plural family hide so much ugliness behind the scenes? How could her father, the man who lectured about honesty, willingly sign off on such deceit? She remembered how growing up, Cody always said, "Truth brings freedom." But now he was living proof that lies bring comfort, at least for a while. When Mykelti decided to confront Cody, Christine begged her to stay calm. "He won't take it well," she warned. But Mykelti didn't care. She was tired of protecting people who never protected her. She drove down to Flagstaff, parked outside Kody and Robyn's home, and walked straight to the door. Robyn answered, her face pale and tired, her eyes swollen as if she hadn't slept in days. Mykelti didn't say much. She simply said, "I need to talk to Dad." Inside, Cody was pacing, talking to someone on the phone, likely one of the producers. The moment he saw her, his tone changed. He hung up, crossing his arms defensively. "If you're here to lecture me, save it," he snapped. But Mykelti wasn't backing down. She pulled out her phone, opened the leaked memos, and said, "I know about the final cut protection agreement." Silence. Cody's expression shifted from irritation to shock. His jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about," he muttered, but his voice cracked just enough for her to know she was right. Mykelti pressed harder. "You sold the truth, Dad. You and Robyn both signed away our family's reality just so you could look perfect." Robyn's voice trembled as she whispered, "Stop, Mykelti, please. You don't understand." But Mykelti did understand. She understood that for years, TLC had been paying Kody and Robyn bonuses to maintain the illusion of a loving partnership. She understood that every tear shed by Christine, every silence from Janelle, every isolation Mary faced, it was all cut, edited, and shaped to make one couple look like the victims instead of the cause. As her words filled the room, Cody's face grew red with anger. "You don't know the business side, Mykelti," he shouted. "You have no idea what I sacrificed to keep this family on air." That was the moment Mykelti realized something. Kody wasn't angry because she'd exposed the truth. He was angry because she'd exposed his pride. Back home, Christine could barely focus. She'd known Cody's ego for years, but hearing how far he'd gone for image and control broke her heart all over again. When Mykelti told her what happened, Christine didn't even cry. She just looked down and said, "He used to hide behind faith. Now he hides behind fame." As days turned to weeks, Mykelti started to notice strange things. Her phone glitched. Emails disappeared. One night, she got a message from an unknown number. "Stop digging. Some truths are better left buried." At first, she thought it was a prank, until her husband Tony received a similar message the next morning. Someone didn't want this getting out. Still, Mykelti pressed forward. She shared the documents privately with Janelle, who was both furious and heartbroken. Janelle, always calm and logical, said something that stuck with Mykelti. "He didn't just lose us. He lost the right to call himself a leader." Meanwhile, Robyn was unraveling. She began skipping public appearances, canceling interviews, and staying off social media. Neighbors noticed her crying on the porch late at night, talking to someone on speakerphone. Some said she'd been pleading with TLC to fix things. Others believed she was trying to convince Kody to finally tell the truth. Inside their home, Kody had turned cold and distant. He reportedly stopped wearing his wedding ring. Friends close to the couple revealed that Robyn once told them she felt haunted by the life she'd built. "It's like living inside a script I never wrote," she said tearfully. For the first time, even Robyn was starting to see that the dream she fought for was nothing but a contract, wrapped in love's disguise. In a secret meeting at a Flagstaff cafe, Mykelti met with a former TLC producer named Heather, who had worked on multiple seasons before being quietly let go. Heather confirmed that TLC executives had full knowledge of the family's real problems, but decided to protect Kody and Robyn's image to preserve the show's narrative arc. "They knew fans loved to hate them," Heather explained. "So instead of fixing the truth, they monetized it." Heather even shared that during one particularly heated night of filming, Robyn had screamed at Kody that she couldn't keep pretending. Producers had immediately intervened, stopping the cameras and sending crew members away. That footage was never aired. TLC labeled it unsuitable for public viewing. When Mykelti heard that, her blood ran cold. That meant everything. The marriage, the show, the entire image was a performance. The world had watched a staged illusion while the real Robyn was crying in silence, and Kody was fighting his own reflection. By now, rumors about Mykelti's investigation were leaking online. Fan pages buzzed with speculation. Some defended her bravery. Others accused her of betraying her family. But what no one knew was how deep the network's fear ran. Behind the scenes, TLC's legal department was in crisis mode. Leaks from inside the company suggested that executives feared Mykelti had more than just documents. They feared she had video proof. And they weren't wrong. Hidden among the files Heather shared was a single blurry still image, a screenshot from a scene that never aired. It showed Kody slamming his hands on the kitchen table while Robyn sat crying, their son Solomon standing frozen nearby. The timestamp matched a date from season 18, but the episode that aired that week had been about family game night. Fans had seen smiles. Reality had been tears. When Christine saw that image, she whispered softly, "They edited out our pain." TLC executives reportedly tried to reach out to Mykelti to discuss concerns, but she refused all contact. Instead, she began planning something bigger, a tell-all video where she would reveal everything, from the leaked documents to the footage that proved the network's manipulation. Christine and Janelle stood by her side, promising to support her no matter the fallout. Meanwhile, Mary broke her silence too. In a cryptic live video, she said, "There are two types of truth, the one they show you and the one they make you afraid to see." It sent fans into a frenzy. Comment sections exploded with speculation that she was referring to TLC and Cody's secret arrangement. By late summer, tension between Kody and Robyn reached a breaking point. Robyn stopped filming anything related to the show. Insiders say she packed some of her things and left for her sister's home in St. George, taking the kids with her. Cody begged her to return, but she told him, "I can't live in a lie anymore." That was the moment even he realized it. The empire was collapsing. Robyn's departure triggered chaos. TLC executives reportedly called an emergency meeting. Cody was furious, blaming everyone but himself. But his world had already started falling apart. Mykelti's tell-all was set to release in days, and the internet was on fire with anticipation. The night before the video's release, Cody called Mykelti one last time. She didn't answer. Instead, she posted a quote on her social media. "Silence is protection." The cold morning sun rose over Flagstaff, but the Brown family home was filled with a heavy silence that spoke louder than any words. Cameras had returned to film one last follow-up segment, and for the first time in months, Kody Brown looked like a man cornered by his own choices. Robyn sat across from him, her eyes red and swollen, her hands trembling slightly as she tried to keep her emotions in check. The air was thick with tension, and even the producers could feel it. It wasn't just another argument. This was the end of something that once defined their lives. For years, fans had seen the Brown family smile through chaos. They had watched love turn into resentment and promises fade into lies. But now, for the first time, the truth wasn't being filtered through Cody's explanations or Robyn's tears. It was coming from someone who had seen it all unfold quietly from the sidelines. Mykelti, Christine's daughter, had become the voice of clarity that the fans didn't expect but desperately needed. In her interview, Mykelti looked nervous but resolute. She wasn't there to cause more pain, but to finally free her family from the weight of secrets they had carried for too long. Her voice shook slightly as she began. "I think everyone deserves to know the truth," she said softly. The show made things look complicated but controlled. But what really happened between my dad and Robyn, it was much darker, and TLC knew. Cody shifted uncomfortably in his seat when the producers replayed the clip of Mykelti's words. He clenched his jaw, refusing to look up. Robyn wiped her eyes, trying to stop the tears that had been flowing freely for weeks. The cracks that once hid behind reality TV edits were now fully exposed. Mykelti continued, her tone steady now. "After my mom left, I thought Dad would realize what he'd lost. But instead he doubled down on Robyn, not out of love, but out of pride. And when things started going wrong with finances, TLC stepped in quietly. They protected Robyn because she was their emotional anchor, their storyline. But what they didn't show was the toll it took on everyone else, and how deep it really went." The words hit hard. The Brown family's financial troubles had always been hinted at, but never explained in full. Now the pieces were coming together. According to Mykelti, TLC had allegedly offered Robyn a private deal, one that would ensure she stayed in the show even if the rest of the family fractured. The revelation shook fans and family members alike. Robyn whispered through tears, "That's not how it happened." But her voice lacked conviction. For years, she had carried the burden of public judgment, but this was different. It wasn't about favoritism anymore. It was about manipulation, power, and the price of fame. Cody slammed his hand on the table, his voice rising with frustration. "You don't know what it's like being the one everyone blames," he shouted. "I did what I had to do to keep this family together, to keep us on air, to feed everyone. TLC wanted a story, and we gave it to them." The room fell silent. Even Robyn looked startled by his admission. For a moment, it felt like Cody wasn't defending himself. He was confessing. The weight of years of guilt, pride, and failure seemed to break him right there on camera. Mykelti's next statement was softer, but it cut deeper than any argument could. "You didn't keep us together, Dad," she said, looking directly at the camera. "You kept the cameras rolling." That single line echoed like a thunderclap. The producers, who had once been so careful about what to include, knew instantly that this would be the moment fans would never forget. It wasn't just reality TV anymore, it was reality, raw and unfiltered. Robyn buried her face in her hands, whispering, "I didn't want this. I didn't want any of this." But in her heart, she knew that her silence over the years had played a part in this downfall. The image of a spiritual, family-loving woman had shattered, replaced by someone cornered by truth and regret. Later that day, when filming wrapped, Cody walked out of the studio and didn't look back. He got into his truck, started the engine, and drove away without saying a word. Robyn stood at the door, tears streaming down her face, watching him disappear into the distance. For the first time in years, she was truly alone. Meanwhile, Mykelti sat in her mother's home, exhausted but strangely relieved. Christine placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "You did what needed to be done," she said softly. "Sometimes truth hurts, but it's the only thing that can heal." The episode aired weeks later, and the world exploded. Fans flooded social media with shock, sympathy, and disbelief. Sister Wives truth trended for days. Viewers who had once believed the polished narrative now saw the cracks that had been there all along. TLC issued a vague statement about creative differences and respecting privacy, but the damage was done. The Brown family's truth was out, and it could never be taken back. Robyn, after watching the episode, went silent online. Her social media accounts went dark. Insiders revealed that she had asked TLC for a break from filming and even refused to renew her contract until she was guaranteed more privacy. For a woman who had once believed in building a family for the cameras, she now wanted nothing to do with them. Cody, on the other hand, doubled down. He began speaking to smaller outlets, insisting that TLC and editing had twisted his image. But fans weren't convinced. They remembered Mykelti's trembling voice, her tears, and her courage to tell the truth. In their eyes, Cody wasn't a victim. He was a man who had traded love for fame and lost everything in the process. Days turned into weeks, and the family continued to drift further apart. Janelle and Christine had found peace in their independence. Mary was focusing on her own business, and Mykelti became something she never expected to be: the bridge between truth and closure. One afternoon, she recorded a short message for her followers. Her tone was calm, honest, and filled with maturity beyond her years. "I don't hate my dad," she said softly. "I just wish he could see the person he's become. I think deep down he's hurting more than any of us realize. But sometimes love has to step back to survive." Her message resonated deeply with fans. For once, the Sister Wives story wasn't about betrayal or jealousy. It was about facing the pain of family and the cost of turning private lives into public entertainment. In Flagstaff, Robyn sat by the window of her quiet home, staring out at the snow. She had once imagined growing old, surrounded by sister wives, laughter, and shared faith. But now only echoes of that dream remained. Every room in the house felt colder, emptier. She whispered to herself, maybe this is what honesty feels like. Lonely, but real. Cody's truck was seen parked outside a small rental on the outskirts of town. Neighbors said he rarely left. Some nights lights stayed on until dawn, and that's where tonight's storm settles, at least for now. But in the world of Sister Wives, peace never lasts long. What happens next might just change everything for the Browns again. If you felt the emotion, the chaos, and the heartbreak, don't forget to subscribe to GlowGossips USA, where every secret finds its light, and every truth hits harder than before. Hit the like button, share this video with every Sister Wives fan you know, and drop your thoughts below. Whose side are you really on? Robyn, Cody, or Mary? Because here on GlowGossips USA, the drama never sleeps, and neither do we.